little 10-footers. He had a hell of a series against the Lakers here, and he's a hell of a player. Hard to guard.
Yeah, the thing about so many guys now, when they play post defense or play a guy like that, they do the macho stuff where you're gonna go body to body. They want that.
Yeah.
You should know that as an offensive player, you want that. So you have to give that space. I think about when I played post defense, I was way smaller than everybody I played, but I had to give them that space because I knew I was going to get knocked off. And you have to learn how to get that space. And when Julius Randle can't feel your body, he can't score. Think about it. When he was under the basket and nobody was around him, he had no contact. What did he do? He threw the ball back out because he is a guy that likes to feel contact. So don't give him the contact.
When your team losing, and losing sucks, we all know this as players, as coaches, as fans. It's our job to talk about what went wrong for the Lakers, and we'll think about that Game 1 loss that James said coming out of that series and not hitting first. We'll think about Game 3 and 4, but you got to give props to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah. They came into this series acting like the better team, and they were for this series, and they deserve the credit. They won 4-1. Let's hear from J.J. Redick. He's speaking with Mike Trudell in the media.
JJ, just for this game specifically, that fourth quarter did seem to kind of go as previous ones had. How did you see that happen, and what were you trying to get going offensively in the fourth?
We executed great in the fourth quarter. Missed shots at the rim, missed a bunch of threes, shot 12 for 52 for the series in the fourth quarter from 3. On top of that, you lose 2 games in Minnesota, -12 in scoring opportunities, -13, and then you lose by 20 tonight. Just too many turnovers, too many offensive rebounds, and I think given the struggles scoring the ball, particularly early in the series, there's a trade-off. There's always a trade-off. You could say, oh, play a center. We couldn't score, so there's a trade-off to everything with this. But we obviously put ourselves in a position to be in the game 3 times in the fourth quarter, and just came up short every time. But again, the offensive part of it tonight in particular was we missed wide open threes. We missed a couple shots at the rim. We got good looks.
No, go ahead, Mike, if you have a follow-up.
No, go ahead.
JJ, kind of going into the series, I think one of the thoughts was that because you guys had LeBron and Luka in close games, particularly on the stretch, like these are 2 of the best closers of all time. Did you see signs that their chemistry maybe in the fire wasn't where it needed to be in terms of, kind of one guy going, one guy not going? Were they together enough? Or was it kind of what you'd expect considering this team changed in mid-February, or early February, sorry?
Yeah, we played 13 games with our playoff rotation in the regular season. Bron and Luka obviously played more than that together, but these things take time. Luka just went through it in Dallas with Kyrie, and doesn't happen overnight. We obviously wished that I wouldn't call it chemistry because they have chemistry, but that part of it we could figure out better, and we were, I guess, in a better place and more comfortable with that in the fourth quarters of playoff games. But that partnership and that relationship is more than solid.
What was your message to the team after the game tonight?
I think there's always a mix of disappointment and gratitude, but certainly disappointed, and not something that I ever envisioned with this team, having to go in and talk to them after losing the first round, but give Minnesota a lot of credit. They're a really good basketball team, and I think our guys played hard enough and did all the right things we tried to make it work with what we had and came up a little short.
JJ, how's Luka's back doing, and what did you see from him in terms of trying to just gut it out in the second half?
I assume it's tight. I don't know. I know he can
show your cards pregame about that. What was the thinking there, and what do you think he gave you after not playing like 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, just played 3 minutes in the first half and whatever 3 minutes in the second half. We knew it was going to be spot minutes. He obviously had a very tight minute restriction, but just positional size. He's also just an incredibly intelligent player. I thought it's similar to Doe, where the things that he does at a high level don't always show up in the box score. But obviously would have loved if you'd made that corner three, but wasn't the only one that missed corner threes in the fourth quarter.
Missed the first, I think, maybe 1 or 2 questions, so sorry if this were asked. But Rudy, he was getting the offense on the offensive glass throughout the series, but tonight it seemed like he was able to convert more of his shots near the rim. What were you seeing that I guess led to that, his more success on the inside?
He's really big. I mean, he's really big. It's one thing if he's the only one down there, and it's another thing if there's multiple crashers. And they all have the license to crash. McDaniels, DiVincenzo in particular, Randall as well. But McDaniels and DiVincenzo are crashing nearly every shot, so you have to account for them. Plus, Gobert's just bigger than everyone.
Hey JJ, obviously emotions are raw right now, but third seed finish obviously didn't end the way you wanted it to. But on a personal level, how would you evaluate your first season as head coach of this team?
I'll use my own thoughts to evaluate myself, and I'll use what my players say and what my coaching staff says to evaluate. But I know I can be better, and I know I will get better. I don't necessarily take any satisfaction from how the year went. That's not to say I'm not proud of what the group was able to do and how we were able to figure things out on the fly and put ourselves in a position to have home court in the first round. But there's always ways to get better, and I can get a lot better.
All right.
So true.
12 points in the loss for Austin Reeves. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
Austin, I guess games 3 and 4 and tonight all close in the fourth quarter, and you guys unable to prevail, and it's kind of all of a sudden the series is over. How do you kind of gauge that emotionally relative to what your hope and expectation was when round 1 started?
Obviously, this wasn't our expectation, our goal. But to be honest with you, as a group, we just didn't play good enough to, beat them. That's really it.
When you look ahead to the offseason, recognize that I think you, Luka, and LeBron only played 21 games together. What do you think you need most to reach your full potential, whether that be something from the outside or time to gel?
Just continuing to, grow together. Obviously, they're unbelievable basketball players, and the more time you spend, not with just them, but the whole unit, you're just going to become, more cohesive, more together, know exactly what, you're going to do every possession when things get tough, when you're rolling, how you want to play the game. I thought we did a really good job of that in the regular season, and we just, like I said, we just didn't play good enough in this series.
Austin, kind of a big picture question, if you'll allow it. Over the course of the season, there's been different moments where, I think right before the Luka trade, where the team was feeling really good about itself. After the Dallas game, where the team was feeling really good about itself, and the different version of it. Where do you think it kind of just didn't click fully for you guys? Is there 1 or 2 things you can put your finger on as to say like why maybe that belief went unrealized?
I mean, I think there was. I really just don't think we played good. You know, you give credit to Minnesota. They, you know, played a really good series, but I think it come down to just us not being us, and obviously I didn't have the series that I wanted to have. So, you know, you can, you know, point the finger at me. You know, I really don't care. I wasn't, you know, good enough to help us be successful, and you know, I wish I could have, you know, did more, but I didn't. I struggled, but you know, you live and you learn, and I can guarantee that I'll, you know, get back to work this off season and, you know, be better.
Austin, you just touched on you're playing the series, but taking a step back, how do you view this season overall for you? I know you don't like talking about yourself, but just in terms of your growth and just what you showed this year.
I had a lot of fun. You know, forget the basketball. I enjoyed every single day going to work, being around these guys, you know, the coaching staff, training staff, you know, weight staff, everybody in the organization, and then, you know, from game 1 to, you know, game 82, and now I just had a lot of fun. This is, you know, I always speak about how, you know, growing up playing, you know, with your best friends in high school, like sometimes nothing will ever top that because you've been able to, you know, play high school basketball with guys that you grew up with your whole life. But this is right up there with all that. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I have fun regardless of, you know, statistics or anything. I enjoy going to work every single day and, you know, putting in the work and going to battle with these guys.
Excuse me, Austin, kind of going back to a question that you were asked earlier, how did the last couple of months, this playoff series, how did I guess inform you of, you know, what to work on going to this offseason about, you know, what's necessary to complement, you know, the LeBron and Luka and the lineups you guys have?
Just play better. I feel like I'm, you know, talented enough to do that, as I feel like I've proved, you know, over and over again throughout my whole life. You know, there's millions of people that would have, you know, never known me if I was never in this position, because, you know, quite frankly, nobody thought I was ever going to be in this position. So I've continued to prove myself over and over again, and, you know, I'm going to go to work and do the same thing next year. That's really it. I just needed to be better, and, you know, I wasn't, and unfortunately, you know, I can't go back and, you know, start the series over.
All right, let's talk a little Austin Reeves. He, you know, talked about the season and how much he enjoyed playing with this team, and that he'll be going back to work and bringing it again next season. Listen, AR had a tremendous year. He had a tough game tonight. The thing with Austin, though, is like he goes out swinging, right? He goes out with the maximum effort always. Guys, 5 of 14, 2 of 10 from 3, unfortunately, had the 6 turnovers. It was a tough night, but it was also tough defense on him this entire series.
Look, Austin Reeves has been mentioned as the best third wheel in the NBA for a month there when he was really playing well and getting it done. And he deserved that. I think he had a good year, improved. Regular season, you can get away with a lot of things in regular season. When you're traveling to New York on a Tuesday and next night you're in Philly. But when you get stuck with one team, and unfortunately the Lakers drew a big physical team, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Austin every night because you can't run from it. It's not like you're playing a different player the next night. Every night, Naz Reid, getting switched off on Randall, you know, having to play Andre, McDaniels, you know, those guys are, you know, it takes its toll on you. And I think he had a lot, you know, and Austin, he's great at playing both sides of the floor, but it takes its toll on you over time. He had a big challenge. Shots were a little short, got in foul trouble one game. So, yeah, I mean, you live and learn. Austin has been a good steward for us this year, played well. I'm happy with this year.
You know, for me, I think what Austin needs to do is he needs to sit down with someone outside of his boys and the coaching staff and look at this series and how he played it, you know, on an honest basis. Because you think about what Austin Reeves normally does. He gets to the line, 0 free throws tonight. And for me, That's not like Austin Reeves. And what I think when Austin Reeves gets in trouble where he does a lot of dribbling, trying to create a shot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to get off the ball and then run off a screen a la Steph Curry and get the shot because you have the ability. I think with him, sometimes he's so used to getting calls and going to the free throw, he got to switch his mind, said, in the playoffs. Those calls you get in the regular season, you're not going to get in the playoffs. And so I think a lot of those things, that's why he was looking at the refs, and he and Luka need to stay off the refs because refs are human beings. You keep nagging me, I'm really not going to give you a call. And for me, I think he needs to assess, say, okay, when I make a move, make it aggressively, make it quick. Don't dance with it because we all know he's not the quickest guy off the ball like a Kyrie or like a Ant-Man. Make a precise move and be smart with it. So for me, Austin Reeves, you got my number, call me, and I can tell you exactly where you need to improve in, my brother.
All right, let's go inside the Lakers locker room. I have your number too, by the way. Gabe Vincent is present.
Gabe, obviously a tough way to end the season. What are your thoughts right now?
It's definitely not the finish we wanted. It's disappointing, frustrating. Tough place to be right now.
What did you see out there tonight? Why do you think it ended up this way?
I mean, we just didn't fully execute the way we wanted to, and it seems like they executed the way they wanted to. Some of their other guys, impacted the game in a big way tonight. Credit to them.
With expectations so high, 50-plus wins, 3-seed, home court advantage, what was the most disappointing thing that happened in this series for you guys?
Losing.
Gabe, when you look at this season on the whole, obviously a couple big trades, good momentum coming to the playoffs. How optimistic are you towards next year?
I mean, one day at a time. Right now, I think we're kind of still in this moment, still sitting in this. Obviously it's a long off season now, so I'm curious to see what will happen. But obviously it's just fuel to the fire. The goal remains the same. Next time we step into this locker room together, we're trying to come out here and compete for a title. So the goal doesn't change. It's just an unfortunate end to the year.
How about your season personally, when you look back at it?
I mean, I was glad to play a full year. Having last year being injured, playing maybe a handful of games. It's great to put together a full season. I had some stretches where I found some good rhythm. But I would have loved to have more of an impact tonight, obviously, in this series as well. So the season didn't end the way I wanted it to either, personally.
You guys had an answer for a lot tonight, but Rudy Gobert was almost unstoppable. What did you see? I mean, how could he maybe contain him, or was it impossible at that point?
I mean, he seemed to get his hand on every rebound. That alone was, that was his impact as well. So he finished things at the rim. He made some free throws, which he doesn't necessarily do well. So, like I said, they had some guys step up and play big minutes and have a good game, and he was one of them.
Is there a feeling of unfinished business?
I mean, absolutely. I think it's just, we fell short. So I think you always have that feeling. But
let's hear from him. He's speaking with Mike.
Rui, how do you mentally handle this? I start right here. Going into the off season, when you guys had a lot of hope and belief in what you're going to be able to do, and to have it kind of end in this way, and just what do you feel like will stand out to you the most as you head into the summer?
I mean, it sucks, We definitely didn't expect us to get eliminated in the first round. We are pretty. We felt very good about it before this series started. So, yeah, it's kind of sad,
What do you think this team needs in order to match up the expectations you have for yourself with the performance in the postseason?
I mean, you guys can see the score. We didn't get the rebound. We need somebody that get rebounds. I gotta be one of them. Start more engaging the rebounds. Of course, I can't just be face-to-face, boxing out Gobert the whole game. I can get a rebound. That's the whole thing. He's 7'2", 7'5" wingspan, whatever. He's a big man. And the problem was, I think, because we're trying to help Gobert, put on two guys, and the other guy, diving into offense, rebound, and it's easy, And it's not only him. The Gobert is not only the guy that can get rebounds from them. You know, most of the other starting five, except Mike Conley, can get a rebound. So I think that was a game for us.
Rui, I know you just mentioned the rebounding, but as someone who is playing out of position a lot and playing up at center, or depending on the matchups, like how physically taxing was that with you guys playing so small for really since mid-January on?
It's tough, Unfortunately, I'm not a 5-man. I'm 6'8", 240. It's tough. It is what it is. The coaches trust me to put me in the situation. I try to fight through that, but there's a limit to it. Like I said, that's only I can do is literally facing God, and maybe I can tap. I can't just go get rebound like that. So it's tough, but that was our team situation this year, and it is what it is. And yeah, I don't know.
But Rui, when you take a step back, this is, I think, fair to say, the most consistent role you've had on the best team you've played for up to this point in your career. What did JJ and his coaching staff believe do for you in the season that you had?
I think that from the start, they trusted me on our offense, defense, everything. They kept telling me shoot more threes, be aggressive on defense, be aggressive on the rebound, basically everything. I think those stuff, it helps me, as a basketball player, of course, and I think I was able to help this team to get to this point. So yeah, I'm thankful to that.
All right, we're going back downtown. Dorian Finney-Smith is with Mike.
Hey, Dorian, the way that things worked out, you ended up playing pretty small for a lot of the portion of the season, and it worked well enough to get you to the 3 seed. How do you feel like that, as a part of kind of this series, the challenge of that against this specific opponent, and just how did you kind of process how this round 1 series went?
Well, the lineup was, we struggled tonight, but overall I feel like we've been pretty good, especially leading to the playoffs. They did a good job of, combating the small lineup, and that's crashing. They big. Jaden McDaniels like 6'9", 6'10", and he crashing hard. You got Julius crashing hard, and Rudy. So Rudy, it was just a tough matchup. He got to go in tonight. I felt like we did well on him, the rest of the series, but tonight he took over.
And then just how do you reflect on your first year here, the trade, and then Luka's acquisition, and as you look forward into the summer and next season, Dorian?
Being here has been amazing. Making to the 3 seed been fun. Luka coming in February was, a big surprise to many, especially me. Happy to be back with my dog. Just mad right now, though, that our season ended.
Dorian, you have a player option for next season. Have you thought about that at all?
Nah, not really. Just trying to get to the second round, man. I worry about that, around the draft part and summer league and all that stuff. So, I know if we're the one, it'll handle itself. So.
Dorian, you mentioned wanting to get to the second round. If you do return to the team, pick up the player option, what did this series, I guess, tell you or inform you about what this team needs to make sure you guys reach your goal or get closer to it next season?
We just probably need a little bit more time together, first of all. Sometimes when you got that time, you can really get on each other without, thinking about somebody else's feelings. And they was the better team this series, to be honest. They shot 10 more times each game. you know, they won a possession game for sure.
Dorian, I know it's fresh right now, you know, the season being over, but in the offseason, what are the aspects of your game you want to improve and work on?
You know, I just continue to be me. You know, shoot the ball when I'm open, shoot with confidence, attack closeouts. That's about it. I'm 30. I'm 31 years old. I'm kind of stuck who I am. So I would say just you know, get to know the guys around here a lot more. That's about it.
DFS, you say you talked about it's your second time being with Luka. Can you talk about the growth that you both had from the first stint with him to this experience with him as well?
You just hear him talking a lot more. The second time around, he definitely a better communicator than what he was when we was in Dallas. You know, I know he mad right now. You know that the season ain't go how we want it, but you know, we healthy, you know, and all we can do is focus on next year, to be honest. But he, you know, he top 5 player in the league. He for sure a bigger star than what he was when I was with him 3 years.
Speaking with Mike in the media.
LeBron, you've been through it all in the NBA. Just wonder how you go into an offseason after year 22, you know, when you probably had high hopes heading into the postseason that end abruptly like this.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, for me, since my first NBA Finals appearance, I think in 2007, the moment I got an opportunity to be a part of that and taste that feeling, from there on, every season that I did not make it to the finals or did not win a championship has been a disappointment. So it'd be the same for me, you know. It'd be the same off season of disappointment and unfulfillment, you know, have an opportunity, you know, to play longer and give yourself an opportunity to play for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. So nothing changes for me.
The fact that you're going to enter into an offseason on a roster that has Luka Doncic, that secured the number 3 seed in the West in a really tough West this year, what type of thoughts does that give you about your end game, and you know, how many more years will we see you play?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group, and kind of just talk through it and see what happens, and then just have a conversation with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now, to be honest. So we'll see.
LeBron, kind of too along those lines, you know, there's belief, and teams always believe to a degree. This team had like that real, it seemed like that real genuine belief. Did that energize you in ways and challenge you?
With high energy all the time, you know, and I just try to spill that to my teammates. I try to spill the belief into my teammates. Play as hard as I can, do whatever I can out on the floor where I have the opportunity to do it. But you know, I think the only thing is it's up to me if I want to, you know, continue to play or how long I want to continue to play. It's ultimately up to me, so it has nothing to do about anybody else.
You've taken on so many different challenges in your career. Being paired mid-season with another ball-dominant superstar, it was one that you'd never had before. How did that go? What were the challenges with that? In what areas do you think that pairing could be better in the future with more time?
Yeah, anytime you make an acquisition or a big acquisition in the middle of the season, it's always going to be challenging. You know, and not only for me, but for AR and for the rest of the group on how we were playing. I mean, we went from, you know, the ball, wanting to touch the ball in AD's hands, you know, either off pick and rolls or off post-ups or off elbow catches, But it started with myself and AR kind of handling the ball handling, and then making sure we got AD the ball. And the whole, obviously, dynamic changed. When we made the acquisition of Luka, to, how can we change our approach to best fit his game, and how can we center our game around his. I think it's always challenging when you make like I said, a big acquisition like that. There's times where we, obviously didn't look so well, a couple games early on. But I think we kind of figured it out, kind of later in the season. The more and more games we had, I still don't think we had enough time to mesh. But for the time that we had, I thought we ended the regular season very well to, be top 3 in the West. And obviously, we know how tough the West is. I thought that was a good test for us. And, we had some challenges, but I think, ultimately having a guy like that is very dynamic for any franchise.
LeBron, how did, I think it was the final 12 games you guys played when you had your full unit after you returned, how did the end of the regular season, but also this series inform, from a team-wide perspective, the areas of improvement for next season?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, we don't even, man, listen, it's a business too, so you don't know what the roster will look like next year, besides the guys that's locked into contracts. So we don't think about myself. So I don't know what the roster will look like. I don't know what I'm, where I stand right now. But I think whatever happens, I think JJ is going to continue to grow. I thought he had a hell of a rookie campaign for a rookie coach, and it's a lot different being a rookie coach. It's already hard being a rookie coach in the NBA, and it's a hell of a lot harder being a rookie head coach coaching the Lakers. It's a whole nother ball game. And I thought he handled it extremely well. I thought he just learned every single day. He held us accountable. He pushed us. I thought JJ and his coaching staff were great throughout the whole season. And that was pretty cool. So that's one thing for sure that you guys know for sure that would be. And here is a great, a great coach, up and coming coach that will be great for many, many years.
Last two, we're going to end with Jovan and Melissa.
LeBron, basically from mid-January on, right when AD got injured, you guys started playing a lot of centerless basketball, and that required a lot from you and Doe and Rui and then Vando once he got back. Just from a physical, taxing standpoint, how tough was that for the last 3.5 months to play that style, and do you feel like that caught up at all in this series?
No comment. I'll never say that, because my guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week. So I got no comment. I put that uniform on every night. I gave everything I had, and that's all that matters.
Melissa, last question.
Hey, Bron. With everything that you've accomplished, where does playing alongside your son rank, especially considering everything that he's overcome?
Number one, for sure. That's easy. It's not even close. I mean, to be able to play the game that I love, and to be able to be along my son this whole year has been one of the most gratifying, satisfying journeys I've ever been on, just to see his growth from the moment he was drafted when we were all in New York at the draft party, to seeing him in Summer League, struggle early on in Summer League and pick it up towards the end, to get on the floor with him in preseason for the first time. I believe he was in Palm Springs, I believe, to getting on the court versus this Minnesota team, game 1. And just to see what he was able to do every single day by just, just channeling his mind and his work, just putting in the work, and just seeing how much he grew from, like I said, the moment from he was drafted to, doing what he was doing in the G, getting opportunities with us. Super proud of, the shortcomings that he had when we played in Philly. I thought that built so much character. And it showed when we sat out a lot of guys at that home game when we played Milwaukee. You know, and I just thought that he has a bright future because not only can he play the game of basketball, he's just you know, and you can ask anybody, any one of his teammates, any one of the coaches. He's just a joy to be around. And I have to say that I have a lot to do with that. Appreciate it.
All right, that's LeBron James signing off in year 22. Will we be talking to him next media day once again? He said he's got a lot to think about. So he'll talk to his wife. He'll kind of think about it himself. And James, you guys have all been there before. When you put a lot into it, what are the questions you have to ask yourself at this time? You heard from LeBron. Here's Bronny James after his rookie season. He spoke with Brez in the locker room.
Bronny, your rookie season has ended. How do you feel now?
Feel good. Proud of what I've become. Proud of the growth that I've had over the years, or over the year, and I'm ready to get back at it next year.
What are some of the things you learned from when you started training camp all the way to now?
Just being a professional, just coming into work and making sure I get all my duties done that day and keep my body right, you know, eat healthy, you know, great, sleeping great, everything like that, just being a pro. I think that's, you know, the main thing I try to focus on this year.
How much did your dad help with all that?
I'd say he helped a lot, not just this year, but, you know, being with him from, you know, when he was in the Cavs. Not that I remember a lot from back then, but just being, you know, around him and being around the pros and, you know, picking up notes and stuff like that and watching other players, I feel like it helped me a lot.
What was your biggest takeaway from your first season in the league?
I think just keep going, like, you know, whatever anyone says or, you know, thinks about me, just keep my head down and staying true to myself and, you know, just keep going, keep getting up every day and working the same as I did yesterday. So it was a great stepping stone for me.
Now that the season's over, you made history with your dad. When you look back at it now historically and also for your family, what does that mean to you?
It means the world to be a part of that. You know, it was a very historical moment for both of us. So I'm just, you know, ready to, you know, take these stepping stones and keep going up. That's all I want to do. I want to get better every day as a person and a player. And this is, you know, foundation for it.
When you think of that Milwaukee game, what comes to mind?
It's a lot of confidence, a lot of, you know, I've known I can do that. So just being able to go out there and actually do it makes me feel, you know, great about myself and where I'm going as a player. So it meant a lot to me.
Not many people know this, but what was it like playing with your dad?
It was a surreal moment. I really don't know how to describe it, but felt like pickup back when I was 10 years old, just playing with him. So it was crazy.
Brian, you mentioned confidence. If you think back to your first games as a pro in summer league and stuff like that, how big of a gap is there in terms of confidence from that first day to now, and how excited are you to kind of use that, whether it's in Vegas this summer or whatever's next for you?
Like you said, it's a huge difference to my confidence. From the start of the year, I'd just say I was under a lot of pressure, and it was getting to me a little bit. So just having those games like the Bucks game, he said, just having those games like that in the G League and stuff like that, just build my confidence every day and you know, proving to me that I, you know what I can do, and I'm ready to, you know, keep growing as a player.
So plan to play in Vegas again this summer?
Yeah.
What was the highlight for you? You just look back with the moment, you're like, oh man, that's when I think back to my rookie year, this was that.
I'd say the Milwaukee game is one, but just overall, just like having performances that I'd say I'm proud of myself. Like every one of those, it meant, you know, so much to me that I can, you know, prove some of the people even if they, you know, don't want to switch sides, but prove some of those people that I belong here and I can play. Yeah, I just love that feeling. So it was great for me.
Quick little once around on Bronny from that opening night that he's playing with LeBron to the end of the season where everyone's sitting and he has that great game against Milwaukee. It was awesome to see that growth and improvement.
He made some progress. Mm-hmm. You know, for someone who's like been under the microscope like no other kid whose father, you know, is in the league, you know, it took him some time to just relax and allow him to be Bronny. And yeah, I think he's willing to learn. Obviously, 2-3 years in college, but he's here. And I think he has a great attitude. And when he got some time in, I think he put forth the effort. He's trying to learn. He's trying to learn. I think he's got some talent.
Yeah, it's no doubt he's a freakish athlete like his father. You know, I've been watching him for a while. He was down the street here in high school, and he is one of those guys he's a sponge. Yeah. And you watch him from the beginning, you were like, he can't play. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, he can play. Oh, he gonna play in this league. You know, that's what it's all about. There's so many guys, not just him, that come in this league who get drafted, and you doubt their skill set until you see they have the ability to play this game because they're gonna learn each and every day and get better. And I think when you watch him, he got better each and every day. You can see it from his first game in the G League to where he looked lost until, and that shows you that he's gonna continue to get better because he went from like a 2 to an 8 really fast, and that's great growth. And